this is Dad and his grandfather. You know,
5 sisters gathered around old family photos remembering days past. Memories rooted in the Eastham sandy soil. Namely by one root in particular.
You just do not see turnips like this anymore.
you don't. Not even the same shape. I don't remember.
Audrey Bohannon has seen her share of turnips. So have her 2 older sisters, Joyce and Jody.
We're probably yelling, "Don't step on the turnip."
And Janice Nickerson.
He did come home for supper every single night.
And the 2 youngest,
Yeah, look at how little he is.
Jody Quell
I love this one of all the kids.
and Lynn Dalton.
Mingling around the turnip field.
Oh, and then
Their father, Arthur Nickerson, or Art Nick, is written into the history books next to the iconic Eastham turnip, which he grew and shipped as far as Alaska. As a young boy, 13 in the picture, he worked the turnip fields alongside his father and grandfather.
Look at this. This is just amazing. This is 1928. George Samuel Nickerson, our grandfather. He came down with appendicitis followed by pneumonia. So he was in the hospital far away from his turnip fields when they were ready to harvest. Hearing of his dilemma, friends, neighbors, and other Eastham farmers came to his aid. Early one morning, his fields in North Eastham were filled with men and boys ready to harvest turnips. By the end of the day, 1,400 bushels were ready for market. George's son Arthur recalls this was the way people helped one another in those days. Isn't that amazing?
Unique in appearance and taste, a delicacy sought after, but not easy to come by nor grow. According to the local lore, the best stretch of land was small and precise. A 10-mile radius stretching from Arnold's Lobster and Clam Bar and no further north than the Wellfleet border. This limited edition heirloom, and Art Nick's tireless work to grow them, eternalized him with an epithet suited, a Marvel movie character, the Turnip Man.
Well, I would say it started in his childhood. Growing up, that's where he learned all about growing turnips from his father and his grandfather. He worked with them. And then he started his own little field on top of working with them. And he did that for spending money. He grew up on Massasoit Road in North Eastham, and all the land that is now Meadow Drive and all the houses was his parents' land. And that's where they grew turnips and asparagus.
And then he really didn't get back into it till after he retired. It just kind of grew, and that's when people really became intrigued by turnip and loved the taste of turnip, and there was a demand for turnip.
Yeah, and that was the only turnip at the time being grown.
Right.
And that's when he became Art Nick the Turnip Man, because he was the only one that grew turnips.
Going further back into Art's childhood, we would have found him here at the old schoolhouse in Eastham, today a museum. As a matter of fact, here he is, the tall boy on the right, standing outside the schoolhouse in 1929, 14 years old.
I love the lessons that they taught at the grammar school because they're all about farming.
Marka Daly, archivist and museum curator,
When they teach weights and measures.
has researched the old Eastham agricultural village.
We have 99 different interviews with old timers in the 80s, 90s, 2000s, and they all tell the stories of farming turnips. The kids would pull turnips after school. The kids, when they were hungry in the winter, would eat turnips. During the Depression, it was turnips and it was shellfish, along with asparagus. They went hand in hand because you would plant your asparagus in the spring, you would harvest it by July 4th, and that's when you would plant your turnips, and you could use the same fields for the asparagus and for the turnips. There's nothing in the archives that tells us where turnips originated and who had the original seeds.
But thanks to old farming techniques, the original seed has been preserved through generations.
It was shipped everywhere. And when they had the 1924 meeting to try and form a farmers' cooperative, the first meeting at the town hall was very disappointing. Only 12 of Eastham's farmers who attended that meeting signed up to join the cooperative, but the cooperative helped them to market the turnips. And they used the railroads and they didn't use the wagons, and they got them up to Boston, and from Boston they were able to ship them using the railroads. And so those 12 farmers did so well after their first year, it became very popular. So Eastham was #1 per capita in farming on the Cape. Art Nick said you could drive from Orleans to Wellfleet, the whole length of Eastham, and see nothing but fields on either side of the road.
But after World War II, agriculture dwindled. The returning men had learned new skills. The women married out of town. At the same time, tourism started growing. The farms disappeared and trees filled the fields. Left were just a few who still grew turnips. Art Nickerson, who had his own garage, returned to growing turnips in his backyard after his retirement. Eventually, he was the only one in Eastham. After he passed away, his daughters carried the legacy on.
The main field was like 30 rows of 150 feet each. That's a lot of turnips. But the purple tops were the signature marking on them.
That is a beautiful purple top turnip.
Mm-hmm. And the ones you see now don't have as much purple, and we don't know why. We're trying to figure that out. Maybe the strain of seed after so many years, it's not, I don't know.
We don't know. This one says, went up and down the fields to check the rows, and it estimated we had 30 bushels to do that year. That probably would have been a very small crop for my father, but we were getting older. But
right, and he had passed by then. He had passed away in 2008. So,
but it felt,
we just wanted to keep it going for a few years.
It felt good to keep it going for him.
Janice remembers the painstaking work of preserving the seeds.
But there's a lot of preparation that goes into it too with the seeds. You know, they plant certain ones and that was saved for seeds. They went to little pods, you know, and so it took forever to open up all those little pods. And
I have some right here.
Oh, do you?
a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
that.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
When it came time to harvesting, we'd lug hot water from the house down to the barn and fill big tubs with the hot water to scrub the turnips with. And of course, it wouldn't stay hot for long.
In the wheelbarrow, we put in the wheelbarrow.
Yeah, but I mean, how many feet?
Jump from April to December 21st. We put 12 turnips in pit covered with dry seaweed dirt, and a blanket. We always put a blanket on top too to insulate it. Also put some in root cellar to see what happens. Thanks to
He would spend 7 days a week, all day out there.
He loved it.
Yeah,
It was
a passion.
Yeah, labor of love.
Yeah, and he wanted to keep the Eastham turnip alive.
Yeah.
You know, for Eastham.
And by then he had such a following that he'd be in trouble if he didn't turn out.
Right.
I mean, just so many people would call. Are they ready yet? We're going to get them. You always had to make sure you had
enough seed in case your crop didn't do well or your seed turnips didn't keep over the winter. Or then once you planted them in the spring to get the seed if they didn't take. So you always had to plan ahead in case it didn't take.
Here on this,
Yeah. Isn't that a sign or something?
Art
Nicks.
Oh, it does say it, okay.
World renowned. World renowned Eastham turnips.
I wonder where that was.
Our father was outstanding in his field. Where's Dad? Oh, he's outstanding in his field.